All right, everybody. It's another episode of the Eternal Athletes podcast. It's Ryan and Aaron Klein here, your hosts. We are here to empower athletes to glorify Christ with their game and pursue a life with Him for eternity. Got a very special guest on this afternoon's podcast. He is currently, prepping for the MLB Draft coming up mid-July, right? So he just finished up his senior year at Texas State, the Texas State Bobcats down in San Marcos, Texas. Just finished up down there. He's a right fielder, had a great year down there for the Bobcats. He also did some catching as well, so kind of played dual positions for Texas State. So he's currently prepping, like I said, for the MLB Draft coming up, and that's coming up quickly here in a few weeks, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that throughout this episode. But what's really cool about his career is obviously, his talent on the field, but, his faith that he's intertwining with his play right now, and then off the field as well. It's just super inspiring. So we had to see if he'd be open to getting on the podcast here to share his faith and see who he can inspire in some ways here. So it's Rashawn Galloway, Texas State baseball. Welcome to the podcast, Rashawn.
What a pleasure it is to be here.
For sure.
So exciting. I mean, how cool. Like, not everyone gets to say they're prepping for a draft, we missed our opportunity.
Right, it's definitely a blessing, no doubt.
Absolutely. So Rashawn, one thing we like to start off with, because a lot of our athletes that we speak to or that we're seeing are using their platform, right, to speak out on their faith and their belief in Christ, and kind of that being that solid rock for them. I want to find out with you, was it something that, where did that start for you? Were you an athlete that you were raised in church? Your parents always took you to church. You were very actively involved, or did it come later through a teammate or a coach that inspired you to go deeper? What did that look like for you?
Right. So my both my parents are very avid believers in the Lord, and so I was kind of always around it growing up. Both my mom and my dad both attended church growing up, and that was just kind of something that was instilled in us. And then when we made the move to Texas and made the move to my hometown, we not really. It was kind of hard for us to find a church, so we were kind of bouncing around. And then in high school, really, it was more of a thing. Like, I always knew the Lord, but I wasn't really living for him in a sense. And I think that's kind of, I was so focused on my sport and not really understanding like the underlying belief behind it. And really what happened for me was I got into college and I had a pretty serious injury my junior year. I broke a bone in my hand, and pretty much it took the game away from me. That I had relatively never been injured. I had never really had any sort of injury, first surgery ever. And it was the first game of my junior year, which was a really big year for me. And it happened my first at bat. So from there on, it was like, that really, really struck me as like, this is a chance that I can really find out who I am. And I found out who I was through the Lord. And that was the biggest thing for me, was my relationship grew so heavily because of what happened to me. Because there was times where I doubted, and there was times where I felt as, why me? Why is it now? But understanding that that was the Lord's plan all along, and it leading to where I am now was one of the biggest motivators for me. So it kind of just started with, I just picked up my Bible and started reading it every day. It was really just like maybe 1 to 2 sentences a day, just kind of integrating into it, because that was something that I really didn't do in high school. I mean, I always was around my Bible, and I would talk to my parents about it, but I really wanted to take it into my own hands, because I knew that what was going on with the injury and stuff like that, I wasn't going to be able to do it by myself. As much as athletes feel that they can be independent and do everything on their own, I knew that I couldn't, and I knew I had to seek that through something else. And that happened to be the Lord for me, and I'm forever grateful for that. And pretty much it just took the game to be taken away from me to understand that the Lord's behind me and there's a plan behind it, because it's hard sometimes to figure out and understand why that is happening. And I really just had to hunker down into my faith, and that was the biggest thing for me, is that I found Christ through such a dark time for me, and it was one of the best things that's ever happened to me.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Right.
Isn't it?
Like, my injury
Absolutely.
was the best thing, but it is true, because spot on with what you said, as athletes, we're taught, work hard. Your results are determined by your effort. You know what I mean? It's like everything's
Right.
on us. And then when it's taken away and you can't heal your hand and you can't heal, you know what I mean? You got to look
Absolutely.
somewhere else. Was there a point at all where I'm sure you were upset by it. I'm sure you didn't break your hand and you were like, praise the Lord, you know?
Right.
I'm sure there was like,
Right.
there's always going to be that moment, right? Where there's that disappointment and grief and everything set in. But it sounds like you really quickly turned toward God to try and find a bigger reason.
Yeah, there was definitely like a point in time, I would say, for a little bit where it was a bit of like, I like to call it like a mope stage, where I was just like, oh, why me? Why does this have to happen to me? But then it was like a quick realization, like, I'm going through this for a reason, and I don't see it particularly right now, but I can trust that it's going to make me a better person later on. And it was hard to see that early on. Like the rehab process was hard. Really learning how to pick up a bat and swing how I used to was hard. And I really just had to trust that even through the pain and me not feeling how I felt before, that it was going to become better. And it was just going to be what the Lord had exactly planned for me. And sometimes, like one of the biggest things I live by now is you have to go through something specifically to earn something. And so I think that the Lord placing that injury on me was him saying that I have to take this away from you so you can fully commit to me again. And then I can give you all the prosper things that you have worked for your entire life. So, like, he really had to take baseball away from me. And it honestly felt like I was idolizing baseball too much. Like, all my identity and everything was in baseball. Like, there was days early on in my career where I was determining how my day was going to be if I hit the ball well that day, or if I had a good game, or if I played well. That's determining how I was emotionally, and that's just not healthy for anyone. So one of the biggest things that I did was that, of course, I regained my faith in the Lord and put everything to Him. But every time I step on the field, it's one of those things like the Lord already has planned out what's going to happen today. I just have to go do it. So whether He had me going 0 for 4 with a couple punchies, that's okay because that was already planned for me. But whether He had me going 4 for 4 with a really big game, helping my team win, that was also planned for me. So every time I step onto the field, I understand that whatever the Lord had planned for me today is already written. I just have to go live it. And so that really helped me, just understanding that the adversity part and understanding that bad days are going to happen, but the Lord's always going to be with you regardless of how dark it may seem.
Yeah. What a great perspective. For sure.
Boom.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing rundown. And, we talked to a lot of, high school, college age folks and, even, us, back in the day at college too. It's just
100 years ago.
yeah. We remember those moments and we don't remember quite having, like that mindset maybe that you had or, a lot of other individuals might have, there. So that's really cool. You have that, head on your shoulders. You understand, that perspective and everything and how God had to, take the game away from you, right? To bring you closer to Him, remove the idol in a way to help there. So
One thing I do want to highlight what you said, just for people listening as well, is you said earlier on, and it stuck out to me, is because so many people think that turning to their faith or wanting to find reason in things that they have to go read the whole entire Bible at one time. And you said you were doing it just 1 or 2 sentences a day. Do you know what I mean? It's those little things. And I just wanted to highlight that for people listening because it doesn't have to be this daunting task.
Sure.
Just start somewhere.
Yep. Just that gradual focus. Yeah. Like literally 1 to 2 sentences a day and turning into like, now fully living it and everything. So, God essentially went from, side burner / back burner to like, front burner and stuff for you. And kind of curious, as you were transitioning, kind of going through those emotions of like, obviously being frustrated and mad that you got the injury and everything. But was there like a mentor, a spiritual leader, a friend, teammate that maybe guided you back? Or was it more so just like, hey, I know faith is a part of this? Was it more you kind of taking that initiative or like, hey, someone almost knocking some sense into you? Like, hey, get Jesus in your life, man, kind of thing.
Yeah, so I want to say it was more of like just me. I want to say that I knew that I was going to be seeking something, and I knew that, like, your family can only help you so much, but they're not going through the injury that you're going through. They can only say so much that'll help you, and I think it's very important to keep family as close as you can. But my mindset was at the end of the day, like, it's gonna be me that's gonna be doing it, and so I have to take initiative, and I have to take accountability and understanding that I'm not gonna be able to do this all alone, but the Lord has the answers for everything, so why would I not? I'd be a fool to not go and seek Him as much as I can, and like I said, it started small. It
Uh-huh.
was, something as just reading a sentence or so in the Bible a day, and then with gradual time, that turned into me reading a verse every single morning, the first thing I do when I wake up. So,
Yeah.
just something little like that could be a game changer for anyone. But yeah, that was more of me, and once that kind of resonated with me that this can really change my entire life, that's when I really started bringing along those in my family, talking to my parents about it more, and we had always talked about faith in our household, but it was really like a big staple to me, and just kind of understanding, like, because there's a lot of things that you may read in the Bible and it's very confusing. And my parents are
Yeah.
a bit older, so they understood that, like, I'm gonna have a lot of questions, and I'm very grateful for it that I was able to have the resources to talk to them about it and talk to my grandmother about it as well, as she's very big in her Christian faith. So I was super grateful in that aspect. But it really started with me understanding that I have to seek some sort of help. And I thought the best help for me was the Lord Jesus Christ. And it was the best decision I ever made.
For sure.
Did you see any of your teammates reacting to that? Like watching you kind of take that step and grow more in your faith during that time?
Yeah, I would say it was one of those things that they had noticed, like me using it on my platform. And I was actually like just kind of scrolling through my Instagram the other day, just kind of going through some of my memories. And it was the first like Instagram story post I'd ever made about the Lord was 2 weeks after my injury. So somewhere around the first week of March,
Yeah.
2025. And then it kind of turned into I would do one like once a month, just trying to reach people, just putting it on my story because like athletes nowadays, they have a big following. And
Yeah.
whether it's 1,000 people or it's 2,400 people, like it's a lot of people that are looking at your Instagram really just because they like that you play baseball.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of one of those things that I just enjoyed doing. And I was just trying to connect with some people around me, and then my teammates started to pick up on that, and they were like, "We see what you're doing." And then I would get teammates that I really didn't know were big into their faith, or really I didn't know if they had any faith at all.
Yeah.
They would come and ask me questions about it, and I thought that was one of the best things. And
Yeah.
one of the things that really resonated with me was one of my best friends from high school. He saw how much I was posting about it, and he began asking me questions. And recently, over this past Christmas break, he had told me that him and his girlfriend had started going to church because they saw how much I was posting, and they were
Cool.
really like interested. And he had always been a Christian. Him and his girlfriend
Yeah.
had always been a Christian, but he was like, you really inspired me to just kind of seek my own path to the Lord because I see how it's working through you. And I see how, like, he was just like, I just see how, like, the shine and that you
Yeah.
have. And I just want to
Yeah.
experience that. And I don't think there's any better place to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And
that was one of the biggest things for me because you can have all the career accolades and have the year that I did. But like,
yep.
that was the biggest thing that, like, gave me the most joy was just driving
Yeah.
someone to the Lord.
And
It didn't
it's
matter how well I did.
That's
that
absolutely awesome. And like to a T, like, why, we do what we do. And for you, I'm sure it's like, it's just, the first ripple effect,
yeah.
right? It's just the first person. And I would imagine like if that's all you led to, Christ or help someone go back to church, I'm sure in like your mind, like, okay, that's worth it. But like, since you're, just starting this, journey, relatively newer, the last, year or two here, right?
Yep.
Just obviously can't wait to see, more and more people hopefully see those, hear those testimonies and stuff like
Yeah.
going back to church, following Christ more. And,
Yeah, because you never know what's going to happen through his life, you know what I mean? Or who he comes across and
exactly.
that ripple effect.
Right.
And I think, too, like athletes having such a platform now versus ever before, where I just think about, what was it like when Tim Tebow put like John 3:16 on his eye
Right.
black national championship and then 90 million Google searches of John 3:16,
Right.
and
Right.
that was before, that was like so I mean, social media was around, but it wasn't so big, and I just feel like
Right.
now it's just like an army of athletes that are embolden their faith that, you know what I mean? You don't have to be out preaching every Sunday in a suit and tie. You can be playing right field in a game and express your faith. And that shows people
Right.
that's even if it doesn't move them to action right away, it's still a seed planted, and I think that's
Right.
so
Agreed.
important.
And that, and that guy telling you that's just what you know of
Right.
so far. That, who knows, like who
Yeah.
indirectly just hasn't said anything to you or
Right.
is watching, but so maybe indirectly, obviously could be more. I mean, ultimately you'll probably never know and everything, but it's, it's our job just to, live the faith and do what we do.
And I think
You,
it's important too. Sorry, I thought you
I'm
sounded
done.
like you were done that sense. But I just want to highlight too, because I think it's important because athletes do have that platform these days where, you are able to use that. But I feel like it's almost positive peer pressure in a way too, because I remember when I first started coaching and some of the girls were following me on Instagram. I'm like, I got to be careful what I post or what I talk about, right? Because there's
Absolutely. Yeah.
people that are looking up to you, and so it kind of helps hold
That's true.
yourself accountable too, right? They always say like leaders live in a fishbowl, all
Mhm.
eyes on you or
Yep.
watching you and seeing what you do. So I
That is
think as
true.
athletes do step out, I just feel like it's that you got to find that healthy, because I know sometimes people might with social media think like, I have this image of being a God-fearing athlete and then they're afraid to be human. So you know what I mean? So it's like putting that
I know.
Mhm.
pressure on there too to
No.
nobody's perfect. Just because athletes are
Right.
out there posting things, they all know we're all imperfect human beings.
No, agreed, and,
Absolutely.
and that's a good point, like, obviously, you have eyes on you, and, obviously, with social media, a lot of junior high folks, high school folks have it that are looking up to you, and it's not just they're kids going to your games and seeing you in person, right? It's just
Yeah.
this whole digital presence and stuff,
Yeah.
so, both are, important, to be your best and everything, especially as you're preparing for the draft and everything, clearly you understand the professionalism, the public image, all that kind of stuff, right? Just,
Right.
being careful there and but that's cool. But at the same time, being bold in Christ. And it's really
Yeah.
cool to see a lot of these pro athletes and soon to be pro athletes being so bold and stuff. Um, Wanted to kind of cross over like into the game. So you had this moment with, series of moments, right? With the injury, drawing closer to the
Right.
Lord, even, having teammates mention things to you about that. How did that implement in your game? I mean, certain like prayers before, after a game. I mean, was there ever like a time just like praying more during the game or like after an at bat, or what did that look like while actually playing? I mean, with faith.
Right. Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things for me is that like pregame, like right after pregame, I always like to go in the locker room, and that's just kind of like time that I can just kind of like decompress. Like right before the game, I'd have my Bible in there. I'd read a verse. I'm not in there to read a whole entire chapter, but I'll read a verse and just kind of whatever resonates with me, right? I mean, we're all human, so sometimes I would come in there and I would just sit, listen to some music. Sometimes I'd come in there and read my Bible that's with me, and it would be nice. But one of the biggest things that I did before every pitch or every time I step in the box, I would always say, "Stay with me, Lord."
Mm,
Just so I understand that I'm not in the box alone. I'm not in there just by myself. Because anyone that plays baseball or any sport in general, in that batter's box, that's probably one of the most loneliest places on earth because there's 9 people looking you dead in your face, and they're all waiting to see what you do. So,
Yeah.
in bigger moments and really just any at bat, you gotta it always helped me just to have that little saying to understand that, like, I'm in here, but it's not just me in here. The Lord is with me regardless of the outcome, whether it's good or bad. Even if it's good or bad, I'm
Yeah.
always gonna know that
yep.
the Lord's with me, and that was just one of those things that I did, and then I don't know if people maybe really notice, but with my eye black, I always have like a cross on my left side of my cheek. Just kind of just like a little gesture, just to like maybe spark a conversation. Maybe somebody likes it. Maybe it looks cool to someone. But for me, it's just knowing that I always have my faith with me. And then one of my undershirts, my parents got me. It's like a cross symbol on it. So anytime I can get a chance to show that, it's always good. It can spark a conversation, and then just kind of showing people that, yeah, I mean, I am an athlete, I am a baseball player, and I'm forever grateful for that. But leading people to the Lord is ultimately what I'm here to do. And if I can do that through my play, and you asked me a question because I had a good game, and you asked me why I have a cross on my cheek,
Yeah.
I'd be more than willing to talk about that over
Yeah,
how I did that day, honestly.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Here's a question though, during your career, I'm curious, did people like people that were either like news report, you know what I mean, from the news or from wherever, reporters coming to games, was it something that they would ask about, or do you think people kind of shied away from it
I
and just
think more reporters shied away from it because
yeah,
I think it's one of those things
yeah,
sometimes you see a lot of pro athletes now that are really open talking about their faith, and I
yeah,
love watching those interviews.
yeah,
And it's kind of weird sometimes because some news stations or ESPN, they kind of tend to cut that out, which I've never
yeah,
really understood. And you kind of got to go to a different platform and find it.
yeah,
So I think reporters tend to, I guess the correct term would be politically correct and not
yeah,
ask that question. So to me, with reporters, it wasn't really a big deal. It was just like the younger kids that would come and they would ask
yeah,
me, "Oh, why do you have a cross in your cheek?" And like
yeah,
that
Dude.
was the best thing for me. And I would
yeah,
talk to them about it. And whether they're 6 years old or they're
yeah,
18 years old coming to ask me about it, I would try to just spark up a conversation on what it's done for me. And a lot of the little kids thought it looked really cool, so they wanted to do it. And
yeah,
that could really just spark a conversation. And then once they're old enough to really find the true meaning behind it,
yeah.
maybe that just started a little something. And I love
Just
that.
plant those seeds,
I
yeah,
absolutely love that, especially with like the kids and like that to a T is like, the pinnacle of like what, passing on like the Christian athlete like legacy is, right? Like those upcoming kids, right? Like sure
Mhm.
they have plenty of, trials, in front of them and everything, but for them to see you like that and to have them think it's cool and everything and them want to do it. I mean, even if they don't like fully 100% exactly know or lean on the Lord and
Yeah.
everything, just that like seed planted I think is really important. And because we do see a lot of kids, lose the faith in like high school, college, kind of thing. So,
Right.
um, I think that's like super important. Those kids in person, even if a reporter doesn't ask, if a kid does, it's still a win, right? So,
yeah.
Absolutely. Always.
Even
yep,
more important,
yeah,
yeah. I know, I just think about, like, baseball, right? Like, America's
Mhm.
pastime, and it's, like, all little I just imagine, like I had a brother, like, when they played their little leagues and, as the younger sister that tagged along that,
Mhm.
like, go I mean, I don't wanna say kids, like, idolize baseball players because that's not I mean, they're little, they don't know that, but, I mean, it's such a
Uh-huh.
huge impact, and athletes do have such a huge impact on the youth, you know what I mean? And like I said, that wasn't
Absolutely.
modeled for me growing up. No professional athlete or college athlete that I remember growing up I ever saw, ever, really.
no,
I'd have to go back and really think about it, but like really use that platform to profess their faith. It was more I mean, I grew up in the era watching like Dennis Rodman throw people across the court, it was not
Yeah.
very
It's a completely different
really
aspect there.
yeah, so it's just like, wow, just that's cool that younger athletes have these models to look up to now. And like you said, even if they don't understand it, and Ryan, you'd mentioned, high school and college, that is when a lot of people are challenged more in their faith because they're away from home, they're away from sometimes, you know what I mean? And people ask
around
questions or they do have an injury like you and it's a different response
response.
and they don't have anybody to kind of like guide them to the right
Right.
response, to the
Mm,
correct response, but I do, and so Rashawn, I'm curious with you at Texas State, I know you kinda did your own thing with your faith. I don't know if it
Yep.
was some athletes that we've talked to had mentioned, like, their team would do stuff together. There was, like, an FCA something on campus or, there's a few other ones I can't think what they're called, but have done, like, group things. Were you involved in any, like, groups on campus, or was there how did you create a community so that you when you
Right,
were
so I
excited
wouldn't say there was really much of any, like, group for me that I was a part of. Now we did have FCA and
uh-huh,
things like that,
okay,
but, like, the FCA leader would come and preach to us every home series on Saturdays. So it's
okay,
just kinda like an opportunity for us to, um, just go and have 15 minutes with the Lord, whether it's,
yeah,
he's talking to us and reading a few verses or just kinda us engaging in what we're feeling. And it was nice. I think it was really cool, and it was just kinda like a step away from the game because while you're in season playing Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it was kinda hard to find the time to go to
yeah,
church, and I'm
yeah,
I'm not one to say that the only place the Lord is at church. The
right,
Lord is with you 24/7 regardless of
mhm,
where you're at.
yeah,
So It was just like a good step away from the game
Yeah.
for us as a team, and it started like there was probably about 10 to 12 of us that would go. By the end of the season, there was probably about half the team in there, and I was
Oh, cool.
very grateful for that. It was super cool, but like there is an FCA here, and we have like group Bible studies just within the baseball team that we would do
Yeah.
in the locker, maybe 10-15 minutes. And I know some of the guys that really spoke in there were super cool to listen to. And it's kind of just good to like get a different perspective from someone, because what you may read the same verse and get something completely different from it. So hearing it from somebody else and hearing it from their perspective, I think is really crucial. And that's just a better way to learn and just kind of understand what it might resonate with them along with you as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's cool.
No, love that. That's good to see like the team growth, and the faith throughout the season and stuff. So love that. I wanted to ask, circle back if you don't mind, between like before and after the injury. For example, when you were saying when you're stepping in the box, like stay with me, Lord, more later in your junior or senior year now.
Right.
I don't know. Could you maybe compare and contrast, like maybe how you felt, I don't know, psychologically, like before and after that? Like, were you more at peace afterwards when you had that at bat, when you were at bat your senior year compared to like your freshman and sophomore year? I don't know, any minor or major differences you felt since you maybe started to, wear the eye black, now, and the cross on your undershirt and stuff. Any differences
Yeah,
you felt that maybe
for
enhanced or
sure.
helped
Yeah, I
out?
would say that there was a big difference, honestly. Like, I think like when you don't really have like faith in what's already planned for you that day, it's so easy to just press and like want to put all the stress on yourself. And like it's so easy. It's easy for me to talk about in my early on in my career. I always had all the stress and things on myself, and I never really released any of that onto the Lord. That it just kind of sat with me, and a
Mhm.
bad game would really sit with me because it was one of those things where I was like, "Dang, I really didn't perform well today." And it was just kind of like, "Oh, maybe I'm not going to play tomorrow," and things like that. But that's really all out of your control. Whether you play well that day or not, that's completely out of your control. Now, the work that leads up to that, the Lord is going to present that for you, and you have to go do it. Now, He's not just going to work hard for you. Like I always like to give the example, that anyone that asks me, like when you pray for patience, He's not going to give you patience. He's going to give you the opportunity to be patient. So whether you pray to play good, he's not gonna make you play good. He's gonna give you the progress and opportunity to put the work in to play good. And I didn't realize that early on in my career. And then really into my junior season, I didn't really realize that either. Even after the injury, I came back and played 13 games. Um, it was still like I still had a lot of stress and anxiety upon me, whether I wanted to admit it or not.
Right.
Like some people have pride within it, and I'm not afraid to say that I didn't want to admit that I was nervous or that I was frustrated with a bad game because I was. I
Yeah.
can admit that now. But really going into my senior year and that summer after my junior year leading up to that was when my faith really, really grew. And going into like the fall and then going back into the spring, I just understood that like whatever's supposed to happen today is already planned. I can't control it. I just have to go live my best through the Lord, and it'll happen how it's supposed to happen. And that was the
Right.
biggest thing for me. I would always pray and say like, Lord, release any anxiety or any stress that I may have. And I know that your plan is always greater than mine. And so I just really understood that. And whatever happened that day was exactly what the Lord had planned. So I really don't have any reason to be stressed or any reason to be mad because that's exactly how the Lord wrote it that day.
I love
Love
that.
it.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
wish I could adopt that all the time. I definitely still try to.
no, it's funny. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's true. And I like what you're saying too, because it's like that whole don't pray for strength and get mad when God puts the weight on, like
Absolutely.
gotta lift it. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm curious too from a baseball standpoint too, just because we've heard some athletes we've talked to who say sometimes that injury, right? You said you've never had an injury until then. And so some of them have stated that that was a time where they actually got better because they had to slow down. They kind of learned more about the game because they had to slow
Mhm.
down and like watch. And it was kind of a blessing in that way too. I don't know
Oh,
if
yeah.
any, yeah.
I think so, yeah, I just kinda got to see it from a different perspective. I wouldn't say that it helped me so much, like, internally with baseball because the Lord blessed me with really great talents and things like that I'm forever grateful for. But it really helped me understand that you like no at any point in time this could be taken away from you.
Yeah.
And there's no reason that just because I don't feel good that day doesn't mean I can't go perform
Yeah.
because I had it taken away from me for 2 months. And
Yep.
those 2 months, those 60 days felt like there was some times where it was like, I don't know when I'm gonna get this back. And so it was one of those things where it was just like I really just had to understand and hone in on like who I want to be and who I'm
Yeah.
going to be, and that's going to be through the Lord. And so I'd be very ignorant to say that it wasn't hard because it was. And I think one stigma that people that are really strong in their faith have to others is that they're quote unquote perfect. And I make mistakes every single day. I post about the Lord and I do like I want to gather people to know Christ, but I still struggle with a bunch of things that I need to work on every single day and just be better in my faith. And I think that that just can help people understand that like your walk with the Lord is completely different from mine. So don't base it off of mistakes or don't base it off your works. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions that I like to talk to people about is don't base whether the Lord loves you on your works because that's not what he's looking for.
Yeah.
He knows your heart and he knows how true you are to him. And if you can just continue to try to improve every single day, the chips will fall exactly how he had planned it, not how you had planned it.
Absolutely.
Some surrender.
Totally. And give that up. And no, it's funny when you were talking about like praying for patience earlier, Aaron's face I saw. Sorry. That's why I like kind of chuckled earlier because yeah, we all, pray
Not
for that.
patient.
I know. It's funny, yeah, Aaron will like pray for patience and be like, but I've been patient. It's been like
I've been patient long enough.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It is
But
hard.
that's funny. So want to ask then, moving on, from Texas State, it sounds like a, great career, of course, you've had there and overcame a lot of adversity with the injury and season just ended, a month ago, really at this point.
Right.
What are your thoughts as you head into this next chapter of your life, ideally, right? You're training right now for the draft. I mean, what's kind of
Yep.
your mindset these next few months?
Just it's kind of just really grateful for everything. It's kind of just you kind of just wake up. It's hard to not have a smile on your face because not many people get the opportunity to do what I'm doing, whether it's just training every day or having phone calls with teams or being blessed enough to have an agent. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really get looked at like that because I mean, you see some athletes kind of just like blow it off, and it's like, oh, I deserve this. I don't deserve any of this. I'm just forever grateful that it is happening the way it is happening. And I think it's just really cool. I mean, like, I don't really talk too much about like the draft stuff because it'll happen how it's supposed to happen. I'll talk more about it like after the fact, like after it happens. But right now, I just kind of want to sit in this gratitude and just kind of understand how grateful I truly am to be in the position I am because it's all happening for a reason. And the work that it took to get here, it didn't happen overnight. So it's just kind of just one of those things where I'm super grateful and like very mindful of like what I'm doing and how of much of a privilege it is. But it's really there's more eyes on you now. And I think for me, it's really been cool to understand that like I do have more eyes on me now, but like what better way with there's more eyes on me that I can express how strong I am in my faith and how much that can help somebody else. Cause while you're playing and while you're doing well, there's going to be more people watching. And I think that was one of the best things for me having the year that I did, but also being able to express my faith in the way that I did is really the only reason why I'm here. Honestly, the only reason why I was able to have the year I had was because of the Lord. The only reason I was able to impact as many people as I hope I did was because of the Lord. So I'm not here because of me. I'm here because of Him. And I'm never afraid to say that, and I just think that that's one of the biggest blessings for me.
That's an amazing mindset, and in our opinion, probably one of the best mindsets you can have, right?
Yeah.
Navigating these, next few months and what that looks like and everything. Now, just kind of curious, you just your lifelong goals, right? I mean, I guess I haven't asked yet. Like, were you multi-sport, or were you always know like baseball was your thing? I mean, always dreaming of the MLB, or what's I guess, what was your vision of this, or did it just happen and you're just like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. Maybe I will try out for the MLB. What did that look like throughout your
Yeah,
career?
I grew up playing sports. My both my parents were collegiate athletes, and I grew up playing football, basketball, and baseball. I played all three in high school, so I was very familiar with sports. And for me, it was really between football and baseball. And I'll be the first to say that I loved football. I feel like any little kid, because my father played college football, you want to be like your dad. And so
Yeah.
I was like, all right, like he played college football. I want to do that. I think that would be cool. So I
Yeah.
was blessed enough with opportunities to do that as well. But I always felt like my calling or what the Lord had planned for me was to play baseball. And it really didn't hit me till my senior year of high school when it was like, okay, I could really do something with this. Cause, there was so many people around me that said I should have played football or I could have played football. But just trusting in the Lord and understanding that I think this is what is best for me and it's turned out the way it has. I'm forever grateful for it. So I was always around sports and I love sports. That's all I knew growing up. And for me, it was really football and baseball. Basketball was cool too, but there's a little too much running.
Yeah.
So to be
Yeah.
honest with you,
I get it. No, that's
yeah,
funny. Yeah. Yeah, she's basketball. Yeah, I
no doubt.
wrestled and stuff, so I did,
Oh, that's
football,
awesome.
baseball too, and wrestling, all that. That's awesome. So you had to choose between football and baseball and everything. And that's, I guess, call it leaning on the Lord in some ways. I don't know. Did you feel like you were disappointing your dad maybe not playing football, or he had your full
Yeah.
support? Like, um,
Yeah,
what
no, I
what
think my dad especially was super supportive. He always said, he's like, I did it, but you're not me. So you don't have
Yeah.
to do the exact same thing as me.
Yeah.
And so he was super supportive, and so was my mom. They were just super supportive. My mom, funny enough, she doesn't really know a whole lot about baseball, and she's been around it like her whole life, but like she still doesn't really know a whole lot. So she just is like, if I'm happy, she's happy, whether I did well, like or not. Like it was pretty funny. So I was very blessed and fortunate enough to break the doubles record at my college this year.
Oh, cool.
And my mom was attending the game, which was super funny. It was just my mom and my younger brother. And after it had happened, I had like a standing ovation, or I guess. And one of my teammates was like, "It looked like your mom didn't know what was going on." And I was like, "She probably didn't,"
Like, what's a double?
because yeah, she was just like, "I knew you had like a good amount of doubles, but I didn't know how many, and I didn't know why the people were counting." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean that was good," but she's like, she's super supportive. Like my mother she's pretty much like my best friend. We're the same person.
Oh,
And so she just is like, if you're happy, I'm happy. And I don't really care what you're doing. So
Yeah.
it's pretty funny that it's like baseball wise, because she doesn't really know a whole lot about it.
no.
And she's just kind of like, she likes watching me play. That's
Oh,
really about it.
that's about the
Sometimes
biggest
that's
joy I'm sure she gets is watching you
and
play and
sometimes
like,
that's for the
yeah.
better when you don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes
true.
I
You
remember
might
when
be
I
too
met you,
stressed
you talked to me
watching.
about like play. I was like, "There's plays in
Oh,
baseball,"
yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I had no idea. I thought you just kind of react to the ball each time, and there's no whatever. So I'm probably right there with your mom, but same thing.
Yep.
Our kids are 4 and 6 now, and um,
Hmm.
we want them to play soccer because we don't know anything about soccer between us. We're
Right.
like,
I don't either.
better because you don't want to coach them or try to, you know what I mean? Just
Hmm.
let them play and do their thing. And
Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah, their plays. I was telling her like pick off plays and
yeah,
um all that. We ran a
I still
few.
don't fully understand, but
It's so hard though. It
because
really
how
is.
do
You
you
have
like know
to
what's gonna happen till the balls hit? Like you don't know what's gonna happen.
Almost
Okay.
Why?
like a guessing game, really. It's
Yeah.
like
So like,
chess.
is it an offensive play you're talking or defensive?
Defensive. Well,
So there
and
is offensive and defensive plays, really, which
Offensive
is
makes more sense to me because I know I could,
yeah.
like, bunt at a certain
Yep.
point or, like,
There's, yeah. There's
know
bunt, there's hit and runs, there's slash hit and runs, there's a bunch of other things. And then defensive wise, there's like bunt plays, there's like you have like your bunt special plays, which are like you think a team is going to bunt. There's usually a guy in scoring position, you're gonna back pick. There's all sorts of other like
what? Okay, but then
back
here's the
picks,
next
like it's
thing.
awesome.
Are you, like, communicating via like, through your team, right? Like, I'm thinking
both.
basketball, like, I'm yelling for a screen if someone's
Yep.
coming. You know what I mean? Are you guys, like, you
We have
communicate?
like I don't want to call it code words or like
Right.
signals or whatever.
Right? Like, I'm not hitting like 2, we're playing 2. Like,
Yeah, so honestly, like kind of how like you would signal like a screen, like you want a screen in basketball.
yeah.
Like as a catcher, if you want like a pick to like a back pick from the catcher to another base, you usually just kind of make eye contact with either it's the first baseman, the third baseman, the shortstop.
Yeah.
And if you usually have like a hand signal, like you may pick up some dirt, you may fix your mask, you may mess with your glove in a certain way, and that tells him, "Hey, I'm coming to you right now."
Yeah.
Right? It's
See,
kind of like that in a sense.
No.
I'd be thinking like, okay, if I scratch my forehead, this is what we're gonna do, and then I'd be nervous that like my forehead just happened to be itchy at the same time. I don't
Sometimes
want
it can get confusing.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, learn something new every day. I'm sure you
Oh, yeah.
guys think
It's
that's
fun.
hilarious. So
No, it's fun.
I'll just watch games with Rashawn's mom and we'll just have
Oh, yeah.
fun.
Y'all would love it.
Oh, that's fun.
That's good.
Gosh, you got me going. Yeah, I'm like thinking back on all our playing days and stuff. We were in like a lot of, I don't want to call them, pick off plays, but like trick plays. We called one like Blue Panther or whatever, where you fake the throw to second or whatever, and then the second baseman and the shortstop like dive and everything. The
Oh, I've
pitcher
seen that
runs.
one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we won state on that a few times. Like whenever we needed that in a big moment, like or whatever, we would call that play. But
Oh, yeah.
all that stuff's really fun.
Sorry. No, I was gonna say I'm sidestepping this because I don't know what you guys are talking about. But a question I do love, Rashawn, because and I think you've already kind of answered it in some of your previous answers, but just
Mhm.
because sometimes I know people listening to, and when you're an athlete, like you're competitive. Like you want to
Absolutely.
win. Like, you know what I mean? You want
Mhm.
to do your best. You want to, and especially when you're a catcher, you had an opportunity to speak to some batters, I'm sure. Or while
Absolutely.
you are at bat, catcher is talking to you. I guess like how
Yeah.
do you as a Christian athlete handle when like opponents, competition, people maybe taking jabs or saying stuff? Like it's easy to get caught up in that moment, but you know.
Yeah. That's one thing that I've really had to hone in on mainly when my faith grew a lot because I'm super competitive. I'm probably one of the most competitive people you ever meet. And like it's really easy to get me going. So like I don't need really any motivation to like understand like what I'm playing for.
Yeah.
So if a team is like saying something to me, um I'm not afraid to say anything back. That's been one of those things that I've had to really hone in on and just understanding like there's a way to go about it. And sometimes like you just kind of got to take it with a grain of salt and move on. Like
Yeah.
that's just the competitive nature
Yeah.
sometimes gets intertwined with like emotions, and sometimes you let your emotions get the best of you. But I think when that happens, because that happens to every athlete that's ever played, you're gonna get over emotional. You're gonna say some things you don't want to say, and that's
Yeah.
just kind of how it goes. I think it's just a realization after, like, hey, maybe that wasn't my brightest moment. Maybe I just need to step back, take a breather, pray about it a little bit, understand that I was in a vulnerable spot, and I wasn't who I was then. But if I can really hone in and kind of just take a step forward, and when that spot does come, because as every athlete knows, it's going to come again, you can
Yeah.
just make a better decision and maybe say something a little differently or just kind of, hey, we're good. Like nothing needs to be said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like when a car cuts Ryan off now and he says, "Bless you."
I went into,
That's
I had to
awesome.
read.
I'm going to use that one. I got to use that one because I
Yeah.
get people cut
Bless
me
you.
off. I'm not too happy about it.
Yeah.
I like.
I said Ryan is literally a saint, but in that car sometimes he gets
Hey,
heated.
it'll get you. Let me tell you.
It's I don't bless them all the time, but I've been trying to and stuff.
Hey,
A lot of times it's like a slow down and like a bless you with like gritted teeth and stuff. So
Yeah. Yep.
um
Just bless
oh
this
yeah,
car.
yes. Yeah. But no, it's funny. I think it's a good metaphor, right? If you call it trash talking, if you will,
yep,
on the field. I think it's a good metaphor for like spiritual warfare
Yeah.
and everything. When the enemy's talking to you, or you feel like the enemy's talking to you, or the temptations, right? Trying to
right.
get you to slip, trying to get you to stumble. It's just like who's going to be the bigger person, who's going to rely on Jesus more, and everything there. So, I think you prove to be the bigger person, like, because I don't know, people just trash talk for one reason, try to get in your head, right? And try to
Absolutely.
throw you off the game, and I don't know, whatever it is, they feel inadequate about themselves or where they're at, whatever it is. And I just think it shows like a lot of security, right? When you don't need to do that
Right.
for any. So awesome. Okay, so preparing for the MLB now. I was gonna ask a question. Was there ever any time where you like got over the hump of like, hey, maybe I can go pro kind of thing in the MLB? When did that kind of hit you? Because you were deciding between football and
Right, and you have an agent now,
baseball.
and people reaching out.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
time frame where you're like, whoa, I could
This
do
is
something bigger past college?
So it's always been a dream of mine to be a professional athlete, whether it was football or baseball. But I really knew it was going to be a thing in baseball. My senior year of high school was one of my best friends. He got drafted out of high school, and there was a lot of scouts and teams coming to watch him. And a lot of those scouts and teams got a chance to see me as well. And that's when I got my first exposure to professional scouts. And when they started to like really reach out and take a liking to me, and then it was advised to me that I should get an agent, I was like, okay, then there's something here. Like I could really do something with this. And I always knew like I'm gonna work hard to make sure that I am a professional athlete, however that is, whatever sport that may be. But it really, my senior year of high school was like, okay, I think this little white baseball could take me a long way.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Right.
Now, kind of another two-part question here. One, if you could speak on the position change, right? Because did you come into college as a catcher, and then was it the injury that made you switch into the outfield, or what did that look like? And was it frustrating, or was that still when you're relying on the Lord, after your injury, or what did that look like, that position change, and how faith or your perspective on that look?
Yeah, so I came into college as a catcher, was recruited as a catcher. So I've caught my entire life. Started catching when I was 10 years old, maybe even a little younger. So all I know is catching. And I was a lot heavier my freshman year of college. So I was about 235 pounds, like a lot heavier and things like that. And then really going into my junior year, so this is before the injury, that summer after my sophomore year, I knew that for me to give myself the best chance to go play professional baseball, something has to change. And talent wise was there, work ethic was there. It was just my body. And I would look at myself and I would just be like, this is not who I am. I could do something better. So within that 2.5 month time span, I lost 50 pounds and I got myself down to 190 pounds, right around 11% body fat. And I was feeling great behind the plate, really still catching, of course. And then my advisor, my agent, was like, "Hey, there's some teams that could really take a good liking to you if you can play another position." And I grew up playing multiple sports, so a position change was, fairly easy for me. Like I didn't mind it. And
Yeah.
so my coaches as well were like, "Hey, we want to see you play some outfield because you're swinging the bat really well. What do you think about it?" And I was like, whatever we can do to win, I'll do it. Like, I don't mind. So really in my junior year, I was still just a catcher, but I was taking reps in practice in the outfield and things like that. So I was getting familiar with it. Unfortunately, I had the injury my junior year. So when I came back, all I did was DH and I actually got to play some first. So I played first as well. So I've had a few games at first. And then going in to my senior year, that this past summer, I was really working on um, how good can I get playing multiple positions? Because I knew it was going to benefit me in the long run to get to where I am present day speaking when it comes to talking to other teams because they're going to be more intrigued by a guy who's more athletic and can play multiple positions. So all summer I really honed in on playing the outfield and just kind of taking really, really good reps out there. And then going through the fall, we had like our fall inter squad scrimmages, and I was just really trying to hone in on being really good defensively. And it played out for me really well. I'm very grateful for that. And then it was kind of just like whether I was going to play left field, right field, center field, whether I was going to catch. I was just going to gotta kind of be the everything guy that the team needed.
Yeah.
So when it came to that, I caught to start the year a little bit. I caught like 2 games, and then I went to the outfield and I played right field the rest, like the other 60 games that we had played. And so it was like just one of those things that the weight that I had lost allowed me to make that transition so much easier. And it really benefited me as a whole, just my whole game. So like
Yeah.
my legs weren't as tired.
Sure.
I felt really good because I had lost a lot of weight. And then that really translated to my offensive game, which this year I had my best offensive year by far. And
Mhm.
so me proving to organizations that I can be a very good defensive player in the outfield with only playing 1 year there, but also having the background of catching my entire life and catching my entire career with that being a premier position, then it just gives me the best opportunity to go do what I want to do at the next level.
Yeah. That's great, and, that might if I had to guess, probably help with that doubles record too,
No
that
doubt,
that
absolutely it did.
that you got, there, so moving around those bases, that's awesome.
For sure.
How many doubles was it a single season doubles or career
Yeah,
doubles?
so it was just the single seasons
Oh, cool.
doubles
Okay,
record was 21 before me,
okay, okay.
and so I broke that, and I got 27 this year.
Wow.
Solid, you
You
smashed
shattered
it.
it. That's
Yeah, that
awesome.
is my bet. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank
Um,
I wish I could just take that last little bit of what you just said and put it in every middle school and high school athlete's ear, because I know from coaching, like nothing irritates me more than some freshman saying, I specialize in this sport or something. I'm like,
yeah,
play them all.
totally.
I said all the best athletes are multi-sport athletes, and you work different muscles and you hone different skills, and it makes you a better all-around athlete. If that's what you want to play, then that's great,
Absolutely.
but don't not like, still play other
right,
sports too. It's only gonna help you in
right.
what you wanna do.
And it increases your
Absolutely.
value with the team, like, look what
Mhm.
you did for, Texas State, right? Like, just being the
Absolutely.
utility guy,
Yeah.
right? Coming
Mhm.
off injury, like, figuring it all out, doing whatever it takes for the team, like, you can't do that if you only play, like, third base, right?
Yeah.
Whatever
Exactly.
it is, so,
And
um
especially, like, middle school, high school too, you don't even know, like, there's growth spurts coming.
oh
Like, you could
gosh.
be in a whole different
No, that is true.
thing,
We have
so
Exactly.
a lot of stories of, like, guys that I went to high school with that you wouldn't have thought twice about them being a college All-American in football
and they
at
were.
all, and,
Yeah.
like, they hit their growth spurt in, like, freshman, sophomore year in co they were like animals, right? Just
Yeah.
All-Americans
Right.
afterwards, um,
No,
so
yeah,
yeah,
everybody.
just sticking with it's big. Um so kinda wanna, uh, get your take on, someone struggling with their faith right now. Maybe they're a freshman or sophomore, call it on Texas State's team or, whatever team. What would you tell them if maybe they were benched right now?
Had
Um,
an injury.
injury, benched,
Yeah, whatever.
they're just struggling right now. The season's over, they're thinking about hanging up the cleats or just whatever it is, right? What would you tell them to maybe help them out, in their faith
I
and
think
sport?
I think one of the most cliche things to say is never lose faith, of course. And I'm going to take a different aspect. And what I heard from recently from someone very close to me was the even if sort of way to attack things. So I think what I would tell to a younger kid is even if it's going great or even if it's going bad, never really take away from what like got you there. So even if it's going great, praise the Lord because it's going the way he had planned it. Even if it's going bad, praise the Lord because that's how he had planned it, but he's doing it all for a reason. So maybe like for me, even if or even when I had my injury, he took the game completely away from me for 2 months. And in those 2 months, I got extremely close to him, understanding that I have to live for him and not live for baseball. And then look at what happened to me this year. I'm a living, breathing example of when you put your faith completely into the Lord, the things around you are going to prosper. And you may not see it now. And patience is, like they say, patience is a virtue, and patience is very hard. I struggle with patience every single day. But it's just one of those things that the more that you understand and the more that you truly rely on the Lord to guide you in your life, the better it will be. And I promise you, to any athlete out there struggling, it gets better. Regardless of whether you see it now or whether you see it later, it could be months, it could be years, but it gets better because the Lord is never going to leave you in a place where he thinks that you can't come out of. because that's not what he's here for. The Lord is always here to help you, and he's always going to help you prosper. And he is giving you something that he knows that you are strong enough that you can handle, that you are strong enough to overtake, because he knows that he's going to be with you. And if you just lean on him, you lean into who he is, and you lean into the Lord's word, you will be guided in the best way possible, because you're not going to be able to do it by yourself.
I'm
Boom.
calling Rashawn when I have a bad day. Man, that's wow.
You don't have bad days. I'm just
No,
kidding.
I never. No,
I'm just kidding. No.
that is well put. Absolutely
Very,
well
very well put. And I think inspiring in a lot of ways for, the freshman or sophomore going through, struggling right now, whatever the situation is on or off the field and everything. Now, to someone who might consider, quitting, for example, did you ever consider quitting, or was that ever in your deck of cards, or you were just like, hey, you just know this is a speed bump in the road, I'm on this path no matter what? Or is quit not even in your vocabulary?
I have a guess.
All that stuff.
But
I think I do too, but I kind of want to get your thoughts on quitting, and if there was ever any close moments, whether it was in high school, maybe you dude, I don't want to do that. I don't know. Any times of quitting you thought of?
Yeah, there was never a time that I ever thought that I was going to quit, or I ever thought that this isn't for me. I always understood that I was going through some things because the Lord had placed it on me, and I knew it was going to make me better. But I knew that I needed to go through some things to get to where I wanted to be. You have to go through some things to get some things, is what I like to say. So no, there was never a point in time where I thought I was going to quit or give it up, because I knew that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I just have to sit in it, be grateful, even if it's bad, because I know that what's going to be coming later on is greater than I could ever imagine. And like I said, I had the injury, and if you were to tell me that I was going to come out this year and have the year that I did, with the numbers, I hit 320, I had this many
Wow.
doubles, had this many homers, I would have told you you're probably crazy, because that just maybe wasn't what I had thought. I knew I always had it in me personally, and I knew that I was going to do exactly what I needed to do. But I mean, if you were going to tell me that I was going to have 27 doubles, I might have looked at you pretty crazy, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
that's wild. And how many home runs? Because I want to know now, because you said it.
So I had 12 homers and 27 doubles.
Sounds
So-
pretty good.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't
Solid.
know all about baseball, but
So no, that's really good. Now coming up to the draft, are you prepping for one position over another, or do you have to, when it comes to MLB, do you have to more specialize, or you going in for one position or anything there?
No, so I've told every organization that we come in contact with that I'm willing to play both catcher and outfield, and I'm willing to help any organization, whether that is me being a primary outfielder, me being a primary catcher. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be a suitable prospect for that organization.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of teams that have been fortunate enough to say they like me at both. Some like me more in the outfield, some like me more at catcher. But
Sure.
like I said, whatever that is for an organization, I'm willing to do, and I understand that I can do both at a very high level. So I'm just grateful that they're really considering me at both, because I've only played the outfield for 1 year.
Yeah.
that's awesome.
That's awesome. And being a coach, I never coached baseball officially, but that just sounds like a coach's dream, just coachability and just whatever it is for the team. And
Right.
you don't get that, you see it, but not a crazy amount. You probably should see it more. So it's really cool you have that, in your DNA there.
I can't wait to see where God puts you, because
Yeah.
that'll be awesome. Big
Yes.
pre-order my Galloway jersey.
That's
Right.
very sweet of you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
What number do you wear?
This past year, I wore 7.
7? Perfect. A nice holy number, huh?
Yeah. Holy and
Yep.
complete.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
That's cool.
Any more questions you got?
I feel like I could ask you a million questions. Is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that you wanted to talk about, or maybe that you would want someone to hear, a story, anything? I know we covered quite a bit, and I feel like anybody that listens to this is going to be blessed for sure hearing what you've had to say, but I want to make sure we cover everything. You know what I mean? I don't want to hit
Right.
end record and you're like, "Oh, something," is there anything like that, or crazy story, cool God moment in your team during the tournament, anything, or
I think that we covered everything specifically. Like I wanted to say that,
yeah.
I'm forever grateful for what the Lord did in my
Yep.
career. And if it could happen to me, it could happen to anyone. Because
Amen.
like I mentioned earlier in the episode, that I knew who the Lord was in high school, but I wasn't truly living for him. And once I took that turn and started living for him, he put me in the exact place of where I'm supposed to be at. And my life has been nothing but grateful, honestly. Like, I mean, where I'm at now and where you would have told me I would have been when I was 16 years old, I would have been like, wow. So
Yeah.
that's what it took. But it took me to get close to the Lord to get there. And anyone can make that change at any given day. It's never too late. I always like to tell people it's never too late. However old you are, how young you are, the Lord will always be there. He's never leaving. And regardless of what you think or what you see on social media, what do you see nowadays in the world, like the one thing that's going to forever be consistent is your life in the Lord. And that's all you can ever ask for.
Amen.
Boom.
Dang, yeah.
That's I don't even want to like try to say anything past that because
Yeah,
I think that's
just full
that
surrender, everyone,
that just
even
like
if, no matter what. And I think,
no that wraps it up. And
yeah.
the I just will ditto that and say like, you know, everyone's playing career comes to an end at some point too. And, you know, to avoid, you know, call it the depression or like the loss of identity or everything.
Yeah.
If you already have it now, like, you know, like you said, you know, trusting in the Lord for life. I mean, doesn't matter what you're doing, in or out of the game. As long as you have the Lord, you're good. So love that. All right. Amazing stuff here. That like flew by.
That did fly by.
That like hour here. Always does. Yeah. I'll say a quick prayer, bring this in for landing, if that's
Okay.
all right. So
Absolutely. Let's do it.
all right. All right. God, thank you for this amazing day. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for the opportunity to live, love, grow, give, and serve our gifts for the greater good of this world. Please help us be all we were created to be. Help us be holy. Help us be saints. God, thank you so much for allowing us to spend some time with Rashawn here today. Please send your spirit upon Rashawn and his family and, you know, his former teammates at Texas State, everyone involved with his life right now that's helping him in his career as he transitions, you know, to the pros. You know, please bless him, give him strength, increase his faith. And just bless everything about him and help him be a shining light as he already is, but just continue to help him shine as he continues to inspire kids, teammates, you know, and spectators and us, right? So please bless him, Lord. And we pray that these words fall on whose ever ears need to hear it. All right. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, cool. Well, super appreciate it, Rashawn. It's always hard to stop these kind of conversations and everything, but really appreciate you taking some time out. Know you have a lot going on. You're training, you know, for you know, a big day coming up here in mid-July with the MLB Draft and stuff. So, very exciting stuff. So, all right, Rashawn Galloway, Texas State baseball. On to the pros next. All right, thanks for hopping onto the podcast, Rashawn, and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.